This is Minecraft Real Life in hardcore mode. Surviving in RlCraft is undoubtedly harder than vanilla Minecraft. This is about pure survival, adventure, and immersion. It's craziness. Bottom line is, this ain't your everyday Minecraft, and it's unfairly difficult. But I like a challenge, and I will make it even harder for myself by setting 3 objectives. First, I'm going to obtain dragon armor and fire sword to prepare myself for the upcoming battle. Second, I will kill one of the hardest and final bosses of the RlCraft, the Asmodeus. And the final objective, I will defeat Minecraft final boss, the Ender Dragon. Can I survive 100 days? Stay tuned to find out. On day 1, I spawned inside of a snowy taiga biome and started heading to the village near me. On the way, I picked up rocks from the grassy floor and broke leaves to obtain sticks. As I find the village path, I see more rocks and collect them to add to my fresh inventory. I then enter a cobblestone building with stairs leading to a chest full of enchanted books, paper, and regular books. As the enchanted books were no use to me, I left them in the chest and continued searching the place. I looked inside the well, but there was nothing there. I kept examining the tall structures in front of me and found a battle tower I would have to beat later during my journey. I finally found a place I could call home, so I went up the stairs to my new base, closed the doors, placed my red bed, and went to sleep. On day 2, I started collecting string, but unfortunately, my knife had broken. So I drank some water from between the crops and went to sort out my inventory. I placed 2 double chests and then left to acquire some wood. As I chopped down logs from the houses, I placed the bag down to retrieve the planks wanted from the logs. I then got to crafting new double swords, an axe, and a shovel. Afterwards, I'm getting ready for a boss fight that would take place on the mysterious battle tower. As I arrive at the tower, I see the one-eyed stone golem and start blocking up the pathway with planks from any mobs that could hurt me. I come up to the golem and start slashing away at his body. He quickly turns around and shoots fireballs at me. I raise up my shield, but am still fatigued after the explosion. I have finally killed the stone-cold golem. On day 3, I walk out of my storage and go back to the area where the tower had exploded by something not known. Unfortunately, as I arrived, most of the items that would have been obtained from the golem were gone or missing. I go around the tower searching for items that were still obtainable from the explosion and get a good amount of experience. I found a few bandages, cobblestone, and some soup. As I head back to get more resources, I find a zombie and try to kill it through the fence. It did damage me a little bit, but nothing I couldn't handle. The zombie dropped some rotten flesh and hard crystal shards. As I returned home after all of the loot, I fell right to sleep. On day 5, I enter a farmer's home and find good hidden materials from one of the chests. Wasn't that bad of a loot. I collect these items and start heading back home. On day 6, I saw a nether tower in the distance, but ran into a fire monster along the way. But I quickly got rid of the monster as it was weak and easy to kill. I then improved my agility by 2 levels, but didn't have enough experience to upgrade anything else, so I closed out of the menu and headed to a hut nearby. On day 7, I bridged up the top of the tower and started carefully placing torches and digging down. As I deliberately dug down, I found an enormous amount of zombies piled up in one corner of the tower. I started bridging down with the blocks I have, just in reach of me being able to hit the zombie and not getting hit down myself. I started slashing at the zombies one by one until I see there are a few left. After a few minutes, I wanted to get rid of the horde of zombies quicker, so I bridged out of the tower and led the zombies out one by one out of the tower and started hitting them from there. I then block up the entrance and jump down to start hitting the zombies, but get quickly overwhelmed as there were too many of them and almost get hit off the platform. On day 10, I awoke inside of the tower and waited for either the zombies to leave or for night to become day. On day 13, I took a risk as I jumped down from my hidey hole, took as much loot as I could find on the floor from the zombies, and ran away from the treacherous place. As I explore the lands, I find an abandoned building, but leave it as there is nothing of value inside of the structure. Afterwards, I found a lootless hut and a big mossy monster that was friendly, but I needed the experience from the monsters to enhance my defense and equip better weapons. I kill quite a few of these creatures and start killing other monsters too to increase my defense even more. Afterwards, I increased my defense to level 7, which was pretty good, but not the best. On day 18, I find a battle tower and start bowing the skeletons from within. I quickly move back so as not to get damaged by the skeletons and hit them every time they reload. After, I start building up the side of the tower and dig into a spawner with a chest. I place a slab for no mobs to come through the blocks and retrieve the loot from the chest. I found 2 diamond swords, 2 diamond pickaxes, and a golden apple, which would all be useful later on. I then start checking my inventory for blocks and start building up to the highest level of the tower. There, I encounter a few mobs and find a very fast and strong zombie. The zombie hits me off of my pillar and I helplessly start running around. I run to the very edge. Fortunately, the zombie falls down by itself without hurting me. I then block up the staircase to prevent more mobs coming up. As I head down the stairs of the tower, I find a room with a mob spawner and many mobs. As I start hitting away the spiders, a few zombies follow me as I have my bow drawn and almost die because of the effects blindness 2, fear 2, slowness, and just the sheer amount of them that had followed me up the stairs. I then quickly leave the tower and see a zombie drop near me with its loot. I collect the loot and wait for the tower to explode, one explosion at a time. On day 24, I found pork chops and slime balls in a basement of an island. I remove eggs from my inventory because they aren't any use to me. I then come up to the stairs to find a floor made of lapis blocks. I quickly start mining the blocks as they would be good for enchanting, and I wouldn't have to waste my time getting more later. On day 26, I craft an infinity bow which saves me time on searching for resources for the arrows. And the bow also has a flame enchantment on it which makes it easier to kill monsters more efficiently. The bow is also very strong. It kills monsters in 2 hits, which is an excellent way of keeping my durability on the bow. As I swim in the ocean, I find a rock with a waterfall, so I go and explore it, but quickly find out there is a siren sitting on the top of the rock, making me lose focus of my aim and making my screen go reddish pink as if it were controlling my decisions using its powerful singing voice. I try to swim closer to the siren to improve my aim and kill it faster. I then notice the serpent helping out the siren and am quickly overwhelmed by them, so am left to keep hitting the creatures with my bow over and over until both die. It was a very close battle as I was almost killed in the attack, but I claimed to be victorious as I had survived both monsters. I quickly went back home to heal up and store the loot I had found. As I traveled through the snowy biomes, I found a Yeti and quickly shot it down with my overpowered bow. Even though both of the Yetis were friendly, I needed its loot and experience to help me in later boss fights. I then found a Yeti near shore and killed it with my axe in 3 hits. As I walked, I increased my defense to level 12 and continued exploring the vast structures ahead. On day 30, I start off in a snowy biome with fog all around me and snowy hills. As I killed one of the Yetis, a weird ghost flew out of it, and I killed it, not knowing what it was or if it belonged to the Yeti. I then picked up the loot from both monsters and attempted to kill the dragonfly near me. After I had killed the dragon, I explored more and found loot inside of an underground structure, as the loot wasn't too good. I hadn't taken much and left the strange structure. I then found another battle tower with not so great loot, but had already killed the head boss at the top and went below to find more loot. Unfortunately, there was nothing else that interested me at other levels, so I returned to the top level to receive the loot I hadn't taken. In the loot, I started reorganizing my inventory for it to be in pristine condition for other boss fights. I found a block of diamond that I converted into 9 diamonds, a cracked black dragon scale that could protect me from a future winter fight, so I kept it. In 21 battle low enchanting that I splashed to level up my character later on. I also found another 15 battle low enchant and splashed them all for the sole purpose of leveling up myself as much as I could. Fortunately, I was aware of my surroundings, and when the zombies started hitting me, I quickly ran out before it could knock me off. I then briskly walked to the area where they had come from and closed it off to prevent more attacks from occurring. I had also found a magic mirror that could teleport me back to my spawn point, so I kept it, and then I looked for the enchanted book, but realized it wasn't very good, so I threw it out. I then started going through all the things I wouldn't need, and there were surprisingly a lot of those kind of items. I took the 2 diamond blocks and converted them into regular diamonds, so as to not overflow my inventory. I also found a few lapis lazuli blocks and kept them to enchant my weapons and armor later. I also took some ender pearls, which could be used for crafting eyes of ender when I would need to defeat the ender dragon. I also collected a blaze rod, as it would help me find a stronghold, obviously, and I made it into blaze powder. I then searched in my inventory items I could throw out, and wool was the one thing I really didn't need, so I removed it from my inventory and found a raw yeti meat that I took instead. I then heard lightning, so I knew I had to get out of the tower, so I increased my defense to level 16, and also remembered I could also upgrade my attack, so I increased it to level 14, put on my 3/4 diamond armor, and started heading back home. On day 39, I awaken the ocean and find a port. As I swim towards the ship, I realize I cannot get on top of the ship because of the slabs. Luckily though, I use my axe to chop the slabs down and enter the balcony. I want to find out what is in the ship as fast as I can. So I go through the front window and find a few villagers, probably the captain and his passengers. I try to look for hidden rooms and find the top half of the ship, but there is nothing there. As I head down from the top floor, I find a basement and go down using the ladders. I found a villager with not so great trades, and I found a chest with loot, but the loot wasn't too great. So I just took the wool blocks and potatoes. I didn't need the armor since I already had full diamond. I found another chest, but the loot was also not that great. So I took what I thought wasn't a waste and headed back to the top. Continuing my journey, I found a wither skeleton spawner that could help me beat the wither later on. The wither skeletons were pretty strong, so I used my bow mostly when attacking. I looked through the chest but found nothing and kept exploring. I found a trap with redstone that led to some weakness arrows. I took them as they could be useful for boss fights later on. I then upgraded my attack to level 15 and finally had all the heads I needed to make a wither. All I needed now was soul sand. I arrived in a village and drank some water so as not to thirst myself. I jumped down using my water bucket and went to explore the area. I found a house with a rusted aegis, but he was friendly, so I left him be. On day 44, I started collecting dragon parts such as dragon bones, dragon scales, and the fire dragon's heart. This was also so I could craft my in-game armor and become very powerful. I then found a few more scales and bones laying around, so I threw out some of my weakness arrows and retrieved the dragon scales I really needed to craft my armor. I then left the dead dragon and went exploring again. As I returned back home, I crafted my god armor with the dragon scales I had received earlier. I also crafted my red dragon head out of the fire dragon I fought on day 30. I then crafted my god sword, and it was called the Flamed Dragonbone Greatsword. It had legendary enhancements such as Two-Handed 2, Reach 1, Wide Attack 2, and it ignites and knocks back targets whenever hit with. I then sort out my inventory and then fall asleep in my red bed. Today's mission, kill the wither. I spread out my soul sand in the formation to summon a wither, and as I tried to place the wither skulls, I realized I didn't have enough of the level requirement to summon one, so I tried to level up my building skills, but I was one level off. So I went on a little side mission and left to go kill some more monsters and other mobs to get fast EXP. I killed quite a few monsters, which would take ages if I would have fought melee, but luckily I had a bow, so I easily took care of all the mobs in my way and slowly but surely climbed up to level 8 builder skills to be able to spawn in the wither. As I returned with the desired building skills, I was able to place the 3 wither skeleton heads and spawn the wither. As I walked back at a distance, I thought I could hit it with my bow. But that backfired as the arrows got deflected by the wither's force field before it exploded. As the wither exploded and I hit it with my bow, it flew right towards me with the intent of killing me right on the spot. Now, I was prepared for this with my dragon armor and my overpowered sword, so I started letting my armor take the damage while I hit him with my bow. Unfortunately, my screen kept getting blurry from the explosion, so I couldn't aim as well as I could before. I then had to retreat, go home, and get more supplies, as I had really underestimated the power of this wither. Nevertheless, I killed it later on when I went back. Day 57. I crafted 17 Ires of Vendor, but realized I couldn't throw any because of my skill level. So I quickly leveled up my magic skills and headed towards one of the strongest bosses in the game, the Asmodeus. I had to go to a purple colored biome, and literally everything was a death trap. I found some foul slime that I hadn't seen before and entered the deathly place. As I picked up my water, I got pricked by something and realized I had been taking damage from a weed sticking out of the ground. I quickly turned around and started exploring again. I then rub into a few mobs, some big and green, and others small, such as the spider that I'm killing right now. I then pick up all of the levels and retrieve all the loot I received from killing all the monsters on my way. I then enter the arena where for the next few days, I will be fighting one of the hardest bosses in the game. On day 70. I've already entered the arena and walls around me start forming and pillars rise from the ground as if waiting for my arrival. I then group up and start fighting off the mini mobs that are nothing compared to the boss I will have to fight later on in here. I then kill one of the flying creatures and realize the boss is right on top of me. I back away as soon as I can so as not to take a hefty amount of damage that would only make things worse. As I killed the first phase of the boss, the second stage appeared stronger and more difficult to defeat than the previous phase. I start bowing the Asmodeus from a distance so as not to get hit from the green blobs flying out of its body. I see a yellow asteroid heading towards my direction, so I quickly move away from the spot it is about to explode in. Continue bowing until I realize there is another monster to the left of me, so I quickly dip out of the scene, come closer to the boss, and start hitting it with my godly sword. I realize this does a lot of damage, so I continue slashing it as much as I can. When the boss hits stage 3, I quickly moved a distance from the monster and started hitting it with my mob to not take too much damage. I then finally kill Asmodeus and have to kill its remaining henchmen, evil spiders that do quite a lot of damage when you have effects Decay, Slowness, Poison 2, and Plague 2, all combined at one time. I then finished off the rest of the monsters and picked up the rest of the loot and experience I had gained from killing the powerful boss. I then fought the rest of the mobs, took as much loot as I could with me, and returned home. On day 79, I started healing myself up with the med packs I had gotten from my past travels. These med packs gave me absorption hearts and helped me heal as fast as possible. As I finished up healing, I started examining my flying mount, also known as a pet, and finally took it out. This took me a while to get, so I teleported it in style. I then rode it around for a while, trying to find the stronghold to beat the Ender Dragon, and just enjoying the last few days I have left. On day 99, I entered the End Realm on my luxury flying steed and headed to take out the main towers with crystals on them. As I flew around destroying crystals one by one, I realized this was easy work with my flying mount and my overpowered bow and arrow. I then tried to kill the dragon with my bow and arrows, but it didn't work out, as the dragon was always out of reach or too fast. I, too, had almost managed to kill my steed in the process of trying to kill the dragon. I then started to hit the dragon while it was purging, but I missed almost half my shots and ended up killing my mount. Rest in peace, flying pet. Nevertheless, I spawned in another one and started bowing the dragon as it was very low and I just wanted to end it. I finally killed the dragon and accomplished everything I wanted. That's it. We made it, guys. We managed to survive for 100 days in hardcore RlCraft. I'm so ready to do it all over again in next Minecraft mod. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in next Minecraft video. Bye-bye.
Thank you.